Call this meeting to order. Thank everybody for coming. At this time, I'll ask Anita to read. You can read it from there if you'd like. The microphones are working. There should be good help for everybody.
To either of the constables of the town of Rutland and the county of Worcester, in the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town qualified to vote in elections and in town affairs in said Rutland on Thursday, the 15th day of February. Then we are to act on the following articles.
At this time, I'll ask everybody to stand and we'll salute the flag to my far left. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I appreciate everybody coming out. This is an odd time of year for the town of Rutland to have it, but it's some much needed work is going to be done today, and thank everybody for coming out tonight and all the people that are involved to prepare this. People to my right are the finance board here, people to the left are the town clerk, town lawyer tonight, Roger, and then the select people beyond him and the town administrator on the far left there. At this time, I'd like to ask Peter to say a few brief words. And please state your name, go to the mic please, and speak on the mic. Come up here if you want to.
Good afternoon and evening. My name is, for those of you who don't know me, maybe the three who don't know me, my name is Peter Crane. I am chair of the Ad Hoc Bylaw Committee. This is the end of a 7-year journey that we've taken to update the bylaws. I could make a joke about having a half-hour presentation ready to go, but I'm not going to make anyone suffer through that. I wanted to start by pointing out the members of the committee who are here and also call out the ones who couldn't make it. So let's start with, in hopefully alphabetical order, Norm Anderson, Anita Carlson, myself, obviously Peter Crane, Ron Kent, who I don't believe is here, and Lynn Turcott, who also could not be here this evening. There were two former members, Karen Greenwood and Lindsay Demers, one of whom moved out of town and the other needed to leave for other reasons. So there have been 7 of us and then 5 of us working, as I've said, for 7 years to do this. So my first thanks is to the committee for all the time that everybody put in for all this work. Everyone knows these aren't perfect. They're sort of a snapshot in time. Where are we today? We didn't try to answer any of the questions about how should we behave in the future. That's a better question for someone else and is too open-ended for this committee. I'd also like to thank the other groups who have been involved in this process throughout. I'm going to start with the group that's spent the most time after the committee themselves, the select board. This is the 3rd iteration of select board since we've started. This last group has spent, I haven't tracked how many hours, but the 1 9-hour Saturday session says a lot about their commitment to getting this work done. Thank you all very much. Every bylaw has been reviewed by somebody, some of them by the select board because they're the right subject matter experts, but they've been distributed to a variety of boards, planning, planning, council on aging, bylaw committee, earthworks board, finance committee, CIPC, and then departments, DPW, police, fire, and probably more that I'm forgetting. My last set of thanks for them for all the support that they've given to help make sure we had the bylaws in as good a shape as we have them. No, I don't want to say anything more than that. I'll make it that brief. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, anyone would like to say a few words?
Hi, can everyone hear me from here? I just wanted to thank you all for coming out tonight. I know that this is a unique time and a unique subject, and I appreciate it. I think there's a lot of feelings about this topic, and I appreciate the time and effort everyone made to get here tonight. I want to reiterate Peter's thanks also to the ad hoc bylaw committee. As he mentioned, this was 7 years in the making, and the third select board. It's been ongoing, and one of this select board's goals and objectives for this year was to modernize town government. And we made the commitment to get these bylaws before town to have that opportunity and conversation. Some of these bylaws date back to the 1930s and 40s, so there is definitely a need to modernize. And also to reiterate, Peter, we're not changing, with these bylaws, we're not changing the way we're currently functioning. Since the TA position has been funded, we're trying to formalize those roles and responsibilities and clarify any of the kind of sticking points that we've heard feedback from our previous town administrators as to where challenges have lied within those roles and responsibilities. We have spent hours reviewing these, and staff has spent hours working with us to review these. KP has spent hours and hours and hours looking at them through the legal lens. Ad hoc bylaw committee used model bylaws and surrounding towns. These weren't just pulled out of thin air. There was a lot of thoughtful work that went into these. I think we all agree that they're not 100% perfect. They're much improved over where we are currently. And this board also is committed to seating a permanent bylaw committee that will have opportunities to address any additional changes or tweaks or considerations for other bylaws or anything of that nature. This board, the 5 of us, are quite diverse, and we, through our hours of review, have come to a full consensus in agreement that these should be passed as presented tonight, and provide that opportunity to then continue working forward, as we're growing from a town of 9,000 now to looking towards 10,000 in the very, very near future. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Peter, and the ad hoc bylaw committee, and everyone on the select board for your hours and hours of dedication. The other boards and commissions and staff that have reviewed as well. Thank you.
At this time, we'll take our clickers and we're gonna do 3 test questions like we normally do to make sure everything's working properly. The first question is, do you think we'll be out of here by 11 o'clock tonight? If so, please hit your green button. If you don't believe we'll be out of here by 11 o'clock, you should leave now or hit the red button. This one will be just majority. And then we'll do, the next one will be, we'll do 2/3 just to test that because we do have a couple 2/3 to do it. And then the third one will be a majority. All those voted who wish? If so, I declare the ballot box closed.
Mine isn't turning on.
So,
Nancy, you're saying anything when you...
we have one that doesn't work, maybe? How many people are checked in? Can you tell me that, Ben? Or does Nancy have? 43. We got problems then, because only 21 voted.
Mine took a little while to come up.
Mine did an A when I said yes.
Well, it's too late because it's closed.
All right, so did everybody vote in here for the most part? So there's 20 of them that didn't work. So we're gonna wait until she comes back with another special one, and those numbers were good, Ben, I could see them, thank you.
No problem.
If our battery's going, should we get a new one from Nancy?
I should think so.
Is that open?
You should see 3 lines at the top left of your screen. 3 lines.
So.
$6.50.
I'm not a specialist in area.
The range for the Wi-Fi, it's not the,
Thank you.
if the battery is actually right there.
I didn't remember.
The other one, mine's actually gonna die.
Yeah.
We don't assign them, so we just do a range of them, we don't actually assign them.
Be battery low anyway, so.
I did
All right,
3 to
folks, we're gonna
500.
try this again. So please, everybody vote. It has a thing, so your second question is gonna be a 2/3 vote. Do we think we're gonna have more than 3 inches of snow tomorrow, and should we cancel the whole town again or not? If yes, please hit green. If no, then we'll do the red button, please.
Just one.
All those voted who wish, declare the ballot box closed. Oh, it's up
Can't see that
there.
one, can you?
So it's 38 total this time, so we're getting closer to being close. 13 yeses, 25 noes, so motion is defeated. Thank you for that. Motion is defeated. All right, the next one will be majority, being 38, that's relatively close to how many people are here, unless the numbers change with Nancy. I did not vote, so there's one there that did not do it. So, all the people here that are happy that Kansas City won, hit the green button. All those that are disappointed Kansas City won, hit the red button, please. Would have loved to say the Patriots, but. All those voted who wish,
Who's a flashing army?
declare the ballot box not closed because the number's still moving. The number on the first question was a lot bigger than this one.
But as long as you get the number.
Tell them we
Back
make
to
it bigger.
bigger numbers?
We'll get ready some glasses.
But he should be seeing okay if it were on there.
Well, see, the number's still coming in now, so is the computer slow or people are just voting? So we're at 39, we're at one more than we had last time, so.
That's right.
I'll declare the ballot box closed. Motion is defeated, yes was 17, no's are 22. Would you like to do one more test? Is that gonna be a challenge, Ben? Can we do one more test? All those that believe the groundhog was correct, please hit green. All those that believe the groundhog was incorrect, please use the red button.
Wait a minute, it's not up to this.
Wait a minute, it's not open yet.
I gotta start from the bottom.
Here to defend itself. You're correct.
Sorry.
Okay,
Please don't vote yet. All, okay, you can vote now by the looks, you're counting already. All those voted who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. Motion is wins. 22 yeses, 15 noes. All right, I believe the majority of them are working.
You're not getting it okay, get another one.
All right,
Did everybody hear that?
we're gonna start with Article 1. See if the town will vote as a part of a comprehensive review, renumbering and reorganizing of the general bylaws of the town of Rutland to amend the following sections. General provisions, membership requirement, town meeting, town offices, power of selectmen, and board of public works. Further, in connection therewith, to adopt the purpose of town administrator bylaw and to repeal the non-criminal disposition bylaw, all as set forth in more detail in the document on file with the town clerk entitled Ad Hoc Bylaw Committee, Article 1, or take action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 1 as printed in the warrant.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of the finance.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Board recommends favorable action on this article.
All right, one comment that I didn't say before, tonight, or normally I don't do it, but there could be excessive of it. Everybody is entitled to speak once per article. If there is a follow-up question within that question that you have, you are given an opportunity to do that. Scotty Davis, my assistant town moderator, will be running a timer, and no one will be allowed to speak within reason above 10 minutes of talk tonight, please. Most people don't talk 10 minutes unless they go a little bit longer.
On this, on these sheets, can you tell us with each article, how far it goes? Like Article 1
Chapters
covers.
1 and 2.
It's page 1.
Well, it's chapters 1 and 2, which is in the first column, it has a chapter number.
Okay.
So I and I.
For Article 1.
If I may, it's in the explanation, it tells you which chapters they are, if that helps.
In the did you hear Tamika coming? No. Tamika says, in the explanation,
It tells you the chapters, Tommy, in the explanation on the warrant.
Well, I see that, but I just wanna know on this page, so when I'm looking at it, I know how to go.
so, any discussion, but I'm gonna let Peter go first, he's gonna give a little bit of brief first. And as everybody knows, they're gonna come to the mic.
Keep time on him.
Okay. Time facts.
Tom, it goes through, page 6, the dark gray line is the end of this article.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Peter Crane, Nate's Way again. I wanted to talk about what appears to be the most controversial topic, at least it's the one in all the review sessions has gotten the most discussion, and that is dates of town meeting. Bylaw Committee has proposed moving the date of the annual town meeting from the Saturday before the election to the Saturday following the election. Two primary reasons. The less important one, this makes it much less likely to run against Mother's Day as the next day. And the other reason is that the amount of work necessary for the town clerk's office to close up town meeting and prepare for the election on the Monday that follows with no work days in between is impracticable. At least that is our bylaw committee's opinion. I can only tell you we've discussed this enough that the last time I brought it up, everybody said we're not talking about it again. And that was recent. There are two main complaints with this that I've heard. One is that town meeting has been used as an educational forum for a town election. It certainly has. I think that the Prop 2.5 override shows that the town knows how to get the word out and educate the populace about issues without needing just town meeting. Now that we have a better forms of advertisement and communication and meetings, I believe the information got out there well enough through those mechanisms for the override, which is the biggest test we've seen so far for it. I'm not going to say that town meeting has no effect on it, but I am unconvinced that had the order been reversed, that the override would have failed. The second complaint that I hear is that if the election is first, then some of the people who sit up here, the select board, will change. That's true. But I don't think that's a problem. In general, the town administrator does the speaking for the table, not always, and not exclusively. In this past election, for example, we had 3 seats turnover, which is a majority, which means that most of the people who will be sitting here are not the people who voted originally to recommend whatever the element is, whatever the article is. I again say, I don't think that's a problem, because again, the town administrator does most of the talking, most of the explaining, and if there aren't enough of the select board present, which could happen not just because of election, but just they're out sick or they have somewhere else to be on the date of town meeting, I maintain those are the same basic conditions, and so I don't see a value in forcing the town meeting to be before the election, have it afterwards, let the town clerks do its office, get its work done. And for that matter, we'd be putting it back to the way it was for, I don't know how many years, about, when did that change, Nina? 07?
No, 2015.
2015, my mistake. So for quite a few years, it had been town meeting, go to the following Saturday, election following Saturday is town meeting.
Pretty much since it was all done in one day, when it was just the farmers that were there, so.
So, I just wanted to address those points up front. Thank you very much.
Karen Norwalk, 149 Palmagussit Road. I make the motion to amend Article 1, Town Meetings, Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 3, Section B. The spring annual town meeting wherein all business shall be considered, except matters determined by ballot, shall be held each year on the Saturday preceding the second Monday of May. I disagree with Peter. I think having the 200 people that sit at annual town meeting gives us 200 more people to listen to the perils of the town. And I think we lose those people. They don't always come out to information sessions. So I think we should go back. Because it doesn't always have to be a 2.5. It could be a debt exclusion. It could be hot button finance thing. I just think it needs to go back to the way it was.
So an amendment has been made to the first article. Is there a second to this amendment?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment? We're only having discussion on the amendment. Please,
Do I have to come up?
you gotta come up, please. State your name, address.
Name, rank, serial number.
Sheila Dibb, 209 Palmagussit Road. I'm going to agree with the amendment, and here's why. We talk a lot, and we have many elections where we have debt exclusions, where we have overrides on the table. They have consistently been part of our financial picture for many years now, for good, for better, for worse. And when you are able to go to a town meeting and have that discussion, see where you end up on your budget articles, and then go to the election, that's the way to do it. It's perfectly true, as Peter noted, that you could go to the election, find out that in fact the election changed and didn't agree with what happened at town meeting, and then you call another town meeting in order to ratify what happened at the election. I don't know that it's ideal. So I like the way it is now, and I would recommend keeping it.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Is there any discussion? At this time, we are only going to vote on the amendment. And then we'll go back to discussion on the article. Kenny, are we ready to do an amendment on this one? All those and correct me if I'm wrong, this is still majority, just on the amendment, correct?
That's correct.
So on this amendment, you're only voting on the amendment, what Karen just read. All those in favor, use the green button. All those opposed, red button, please. And obviously, you know you have to turn that into the town clerk before the end of the evening.
Oh, I have it already typed up for her.
Thank you.
Why do you think Peter got up and spoke?
All those voted who wish, declare the ballot box closed on the amendment. The amendment passed, 27 yeses, 14 noes. So, the amendment passed. Is there any other discussion on the article? Please proceed with caution.
Barbara Rushala. Mr. Moderator, I move that subsection 10A of Article 1, Town Meetings of Chapter 2, be amended as follows. No person shall speak for more than 10 minutes on any one motion, or speak more than twice on any one motion, except for the brief clarification of their initial statement, unless such person's time is extended by the town moderator and meeting body.
Does anyone second the amendment?
Second.
Yes.
It's been seconded. Is there any discussion on,
Can you clarify the change?
can you clarify the change, Barbara?
The proposed bylaw is talking about 5 minutes and once.
Yes.
And I feel that not making that change or making that change is limiting a person's ability to speak to an issue, ask questions, get clarifications. I don't think I've ever been to a town meeting where the 10 minutes and speaking twice has been a significant problem. The moderator controls the meeting. If somebody is speaking more than 10 minutes, then it's, in my opinion, up to him to say, your 10 minutes is up.
Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Ben, are you ready for a second amendment? So we're voting only on what Mrs. Rashali just recently read, on an additional amendment. All those in favor, please use the green buttons. All those opposed, please use the red buttons. All those balloted who wish. Need one more. All those balloted who wish. There we go. Thank you. Look at that. I talked to the computer. It cocks back. All those balloted who wish. I declare the ballot box closed. 26 yeses, 15 noes. Amendment carries. Is there any other discussion? Or any other amendments at the rate we're going? Bob, are you gonna turn a piece of paper?
I already did.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to amend Article 1, Section 7, Rules of Procedure, subsection B, to delete in its entirety. The town meeting shall take no action on any warrant article accepting citizens' petitions for proposing the appropriations of monies for capital improvement until the Capital Improvement Planning Committee has considered such improvement or 21 days have passed after referral without action of said committee.
So that's an amendment?
Yes.
You made the motion. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item?
May I?
I believe so. That's still part of your 10 minutes. Continue.
That's a long time. The reason I bring this up is because when we get to Article 4, which obviously we haven't gotten to yet, I do have some concerns about the Capital Improvement Planning Committee and some of the sort of lack of structure that we placed on it. This is an appointed committee, after all. When we look at some of the duties, we note that there's actually no deadline for them to call meetings when they are presented with requests. There's actually no deadlines prior to meetings occurring, town meetings or special town meetings, as to when they are required to engage and to discuss some of these procedures, some of the things that are up. And so I think that based on Article 4 and where it reads right now, including Section 7, subsection B, within Article 1, without having considered Article 4 at this time, is really placing far too much burden and far too much possibly power on the Capital Improvement Planning Commission. We've certainly seen situations where the town has been hamstrung, where we've had opportunities come up that required fast action. And if that fast action can't happen, we miss out on those opportunities.
Is there any discussion on this article?
Peter Crane, Nate's Way, I will note that that is a provision in the current CIPC bylaw. This is not a change. This is exactly how we're supposed to be behaving right now. And every time that the town has acted on capital expenditures without CIPC consideration has been a violation of our current bylaw. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any?
I just have, I may not be following this, but that section was under Article 1?
Yes, because it's part of the town meeting bylaw, right?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Yes.
It was referenced that if something comes up for immediate action, the CIPC doesn't have a time frame, but in fact it does. The CIP does have the ability, if something comes up, to schedule an emergency meeting to be able to deal with the situation at hand. We have done that in the past in the CIPC committee. So I don't know by putting a time frame on something if that won't hinder the CIPC in doing its job as well. It's been functioning for 15 years, and it has, I think on 2 occasions, been an emergency meeting where we have been able to deal with a situation. Now, when it comes to citizens' petitions, that is a citizen petition. That does not go through the CIPC. Not required, because it's a citizen petition. Am I correct on that, Roger? Okay.
That's correct.
So whatever the citizen petition is, doesn't involve CIPC. But if it's something from the town that is an extraordinary event that needs to be looked at or money to be spent, the CIPC has the ability to call an emergency meeting to do that, which we have done. So I don't think this change is really warranted. I think it's the way it is.
Is there any other discussion on this article, on the amendment? I apologize.
If I may, can I respond or no? I understand if I can. Yeah.
It was a direct question.
Yeah, I probably would, yes. Were you at, let Sheila go first,
Yeah,
please,
yeah, yeah.
if you don't mind.
She might be asking the same.
So again, and again, this is a little bit out of turn because we won't get to the CIPC until Article, I think, 4. When you look at the section on the Capital Improvement Planning Committee and you look at the changes, there's no definition of extraordinary circumstances. It does note that if a town official or department head may submit, they must do it through the town administrator, which is certainly understandable. But if the town administrator is absent, there's no alternative plan. There is no deadline for setting the meeting that Harry refers to. So they might get it. They are not required to set a meeting. There's no time frame for setting that meeting. Is it within a week of town meeting? Is it within a day? I would argue that the FinCom in particular knows how fast finances change right up to the very last moment of town meeting. We've certainly seen them year after year making minuscule, to the penny changes to the way our budget works right up to that moment of town meeting because we get new information coming in. At the moment, we don't have any searchable meeting minutes or former capital plans to review on the CIPC. So though we know it's been functioning for 15 years because of legislation that was approved at the State House, we don't necessarily know how well this process has been working and how many, in fact, possibilities and possible projects might have been overlooked.
Is there any other discussion on this amendment?
Michelle Van Reet, 230 Charnock Hill Road. I guess my concern is where it says that no action on capital articles unless CIPC has considered, means that a citizen's petition can be brought up, but no action is automatically taken, and the we can't discuss it or vote on it on the floor.
That is not correct. What you're reading is an abbreviation of all the changes. Citizen petitions are completely exempt from the CIPC process. It's no action on warrant articles from the town, that the town sponsors, basically. Should be taken, so that in the normal course of events, that is to say excluding citizen petitions, that's what the scope of that provision in the bylaw is for.
And Mike Sullivan, Crawford Road. I don't want to put you on the spot, Peter, but I'd like clarification on the fact that we've been acting in violation. I think that's the term you used, number one. And then after that explanation, if someone from CIPC could perhaps respond to your explanation. It just, I'm not clear on what that's all about.
Well, this provision has been in the CIPC bylaw since that was first passed by the town. We're just moving it from the CIPC bylaw into the town meeting bylaw because it's a town meeting provision, it's not a provision of CIPC per se. There have been, I remember, town meetings, not the last couple, but before that, and I'm sure Harry can point them out better than I can, when the warrant article for a capital expenditure had not been passed through CIPC, so that they did not consider it, they did not put it, they could not make it part of their plan, it was never referred to them in the first place, which is, there are many steps of failure when that happened. And so by virtue of the current bylaw, each time the town took that action, voted on an article that had not been considered, that's a violation of law. Now, it's one without penalty, because we're not gonna fine the town as a body. We're not gonna fine everybody 20 cents to come up with a fine. But as a legal matter, the town made a decision to violate its bylaws.
So if I may, Mr. Moderator, so does this change correct that?
No, it
It stays the
just
same.
moved where the provision is. That's all this, actually, there is a change. We put the limit of 21 days on. The current one says if the CIPC hasn't considered it, and it doesn't matter how long it had it, if it sat on it for 6 months without considering it, that's a CIPC problem. So we put in a 21-day deadline. If anything comes in closer than 21 days, it doesn't need or actually, let's say that differently. If anything has been sitting in CIPC's inbox for 21 days and they haven't considered it, then the town is allowed to vote on it.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, where are all the definitions of what you're referring to, the 21 days and?
They're in the actual bylaws themselves. They're not, I mean,
Those aren't being changed. Or they are being changed.
They absolutely are being changed.
But we just don't have that information here.
The handout, if we put all the bylaws in, it'll be 150 pages.
Okay.
So we've done the review sessions, and our hope was that people who were concerned about specific issues that they saw would read the bylaws and understand them in advance. We know that has not always happened, but that's the gist of the 21 days and how things got moved around. That the implementation is in the proposed bylaws themselves.
So we're voting in good faith with something that we don't have here.
Yes, you are voting that that the committee accurately described the consequential changes as described very early in the document to all the bylaws.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Well, we're going on number 2 here.
Well, I just want to clarify, there was a comment made that no minutes were posted, I believe. And yet, if you go on the site, you will see that minutes have been posted from CIPC. We are also being taped. Those are also on TV that you can view the whole meeting. And we also have open meetings, which you are welcome to come and understand what's going on during the meeting. I think if an individual or someone had come through these meetings and saw that, I believe there'd be no need for what's being proposed as an amendment. They'd see it runs pretty efficiently, and has for many, many years.
Further discussion?
Sherry Haber, 1 Olivia Lane. I just want to point out that MGL Section 106B, Chapter 41, there is no requirement of this.
Is there any other discussion on this article, amendment? Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, so everybody understands what we're voting on. We're voting on what Sheila read a few moments ago. All those in favor of Sheila's amendment, please use the green button. All those opposed, please use the red button. All those voted who wish. All those voted who wish. There we go, thank you. All those voted who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. 19 yeses, 18 noes. Motion amendment carries.
It was tied for.
If it's tied, then I have the ability to vote. I prefer not to do that.
You have to.
So, I need a copy of the amendment before the end of the evening, please. Is there any other discussion or amendments to come before us at this time? I'm not used to this many amendments. This could be a long amendment night, huh? Is there any other discussion on the article with all the amendments? Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion? So everyone understands, we have 3 amendments to the original article that have been changed that all were favorable. So when you vote on the entire article, it will be with those 3 changes that are in there. This is a majority vote. All those in favor of the article with the amendment, please use your green buttons. All those opposed, please use the red buttons. Usually the public can't see the numbers. Usually the numbers are right up here, and I get to watch them, but people are watching them. All those, we got a few more people that should vote. All those voted who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries 29 yes, 6 no's. Moving on to Article 2.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. If we're seeming to have problems with the clickers, could we get back to the old-fashioned way where we either stand, raise our hand? Because in all fairness, you soliciting votes, you shouldn't have to do that. If the computer's not working properly, it's not your problem. We should just go back to the old-fashioned way, raise our hands.
As long as the number is close there and I'm comfortable with it, that it's working. We were off 2 people from the last time.
2 people left.
2 people left.
I understand 2 people left, we were still down 2 from the last one that we just had for Sheila's amendment.
I'm just trying to make sure that you don't have confusion over that screen.
I'm okay with it. I think there are more people that would prefer to vote that you don't know how they're voting versus you raising their hand or something like that. That motion would have made a decision, I would have asked yeas or nays, and it would have been okay. The last amendment, within one person, we would have to count, and there could be some objection of it.
I'm not saying I support you, this electronic thing, if it's not working, let's toss it in the street.
Moving on to Article 2, to see if the town will vote as a part of a comprehensive review, renumbering, and reorganizing of the general bylaws of the town of Rutland to amend the following sections: accounting and collecting, finance committee, capital improvement, planning committee, legal affairs, license and permit of delinquent taxpayers, public drinking, unregistered motor vehicles, agricultural commission, bylaw committee, council of aging, and earthworks board, and to adopt the accountant bylaw, all as set forth in more details in the document on file with the town clerk entitled Ad hoc Bylaw Committee Article 2, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 2 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the finance committee recommends favorable action on this article.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Head on over to the mic.
Sheila did to Palmagussit. I think I set the stage here, so I'm going to focus on Article 4, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. And I just want to note for the record that I didn't attend any of the informational sessions. I couldn't. In order for any of us tonight to really compare and contrast the current form of the document and the new changes, takes a couple of steps. It's something that some of us can do, and it's something that some of us are gonna have trouble with. I ended up taking the time to copy the 2 versions into a Google document, and then you have the opportunity in Google to have Google compare it for you, which means I have a marked up version in front of me showing what the original was and what the changes are. I wanna just note the following. So with the changes, one thing that we've changed is the, under section, it used to be, section 3, which I don't think anybody has unless they have a computer with them tonight, the dollar figure that was the threshold for the capital improvement planning committee. The change to that from $10,000 is now as defined in the select board financial policy. Totally fine, except I don't know where that is, and I don't know what it is. The next is, the committee shall be comprised of 5 members who are not employed by the town. I want to make this note, and I'm going to just say for the record, elephant in the room, Harry, this is not about you. But as somebody who has been on the CIPC since the first day, it's something that has started to affect you recently. Within this section, who are not employed by the town, that's actually not a change. When Harry was elected, he became a special municipal employee. Now again, this isn't about you. This is something that you were already on the committee. You became a select board member later. However, what I would argue here is we need to really consider whether, as a committee appointed by the select board, we are not opening up the opportunity for a select board to simply appoint themselves as the capital improvement planning committee. Because as it stands right now, that is the door we have opened. I don't know if that's a door that we want. Maybe it is. We certainly have the select board, which also acts as the Board of Public Works, and we've been fine with that for a very long time. But again, I don't know that it's something we've considered here. The next thing, and I brought this up earlier, the committee shall specify a date by which all town officials, school committees, etc., have to submit through the town administrator information concerning anticipated capitals. There's no definition there of when. Is it annually? Is it prior to town meeting? Is it prior to the budget season starting? We don't know when. This might be a problem. The next problem, under extraordinary circumstances, again, I brought this up earlier, we don't have a definition of extraordinary, and that's okay. I think it would be hard to define something that simply has no precedent, that might be a one-off. It's 100% fine. However, again, if the administrator is absent for whatever reason, maybe we have a vacancy, maybe they're out sick, we don't have an alternative right now with the way this is reading as to how a department head could then submit an extraordinary circumstance submission for capital improvement. We also, following along with that, and this is really just a question, number 2 is new, and it's a good step in the right direction. What it previously said was that the committee must essentially agree and be unanimous on whether or not a situation is extraordinary. It now says must agree by a 2/3 vote. Now, for those of us who go to town meetings all the time, when we think of a 2/3 vote, that's that next level, right? Not just a simple majority, but the next level of a 2/3 for, typically it's for zoning bylaws. In this case, we have a committee of 5 people. It's 2/3 already. If one person is missing, it's more than 2/3. If there are 3 people there and they still have a quorum, it's still 2/3. So I'm not sure why we have 2/3. It seems extra and unnecessary, but in any case, under section 6 reports, section number 1, it says the committee shall at least annually prepare reports recommending, number 1, a capital expenditure plan for the next fiscal year. There is no deadline to that. There is no date to that. It does not say to whom they prepare and submit those reports. It does say later that they'll provide them to the select board, but it actually doesn't say that they provide them to the taxpayers and to the voting public. To Harry's point, and I do think that this is a consideration of the new website more than anything, and maybe Austin could speak to this. When I look back, one of the big things for us with the CIPC is to know that we have a capital improvement plan in place. At the moment, it's very hard to look for that, and so for someone who doesn't go to the meetings in person, I should be able to go on the website and find those. I can find the current one, the one that's dated 2025 to 2030, so I appreciate that. But looking back through the history and trying to decide if these very substantive changes were right for the town made it a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to put this out as a discussion. I can come back and make a motion with the specific changes, but I wanted to bring those up as points.
Keep track of her time. That'll be part of her
Where's my
time when she
time?
comes back. Is there any other discussion on this article?
Is there any other?
Yes, Mr. Michelle.
This, we're on this number 2, right? Finance Committee? Can I sit here?
No.
Oh, thanks a lot. That's fine.
They wanna hear you better, go to the microphone,
Okay,
please.
that's fine.
I don't have a microphone.
Mr. Moderator, I would move to amend Chapter 3, Article 3, Finance Committee, by making the following changes. Whoops. Under Section 3, members, line A, remove subject to ratification by the Select Board. Under A.2, remove line 2, 2A, and 2B in their entirety. And then renumber that section, it has to move up one. Under Section 4 duties, line B, add, in accordance with Massachusetts general law. Section 5, under access, change the word reasonable to free. Section 6, under member removal, remove the words a joint body composed of the select board and.
Does this amendment receive support?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Is there any discussion on this amendment? Is there any discussion on this amendment? Yes.
Sherry Haber, 1 Olivia Lane, can you please explain the deletions and your reasoning behind that?
Well, basically, what this does is it takes out, under the Finance Committee's section, ratification by the Board of Selectmen, so that the appointments, as it has been in our bylaw right along, that the appointments are made by the moderator, and that's the Finance Board. And seeing how in this new variation, they have a ratification, and the words that goes with it, but it also has in here any appointments that are rejected, which is new. So if the Select Board doesn't like somebody that that the moderator has appointed, then they're removed from the committee. Which I think there should be a separation of church and state. The whole reason for the Finance Committee is oversight of the finances and what's going on in the town. And over the last several years, the town has moved away from elected positions like the treasurer collector, and we voted that once Anita leaves, that was going to be appointed town clerk. We have way less people that are voted by the people. They're appointed by the selectmen. And to have oversight and have that separation, the Finance Board should be the Finance Board, appointed by the moderator, who's elected by the people, and that's the oversight. And then that should be that difference in there. And the other, there was just a couple of words in there that, the appointments refer to the very first section of the general provisions, or that would remain the same. And then the removal, if they had to remove a member, that's up to the appointing authority, which this bylaw explains in there. The appointing authority should have that ability to do that. That's it in a nutshell.
Peter?
Ratification by the select board is an element of the current finance committee bylaw. This was not added. Furthermore, that section you're talking about striking puts in a lot of detail about the ratification process that does not exist. It explains when the ratification needs to happen at the next select board meeting. Today's bylaw, they could not ratify for 8 months, and there's nothing in law to prevent them from doing that. The new law makes the process much tighter and does not change the actual appointment process. And since appointment is done as ratification, the committee believes that the removal should be done by a joint body, basically, so the complete appointment and removal powers are the same. Removal is all brand new.
Right. The first part of what you said was of the ratification is in it. The second part of the under ratification is not, and this is new in this bylaw.
Right, all the details about that we're placing upon the select board for ratification is new. But the process itself is not,
And
the fundamental process.
And the appointing authority is the moderator who's voted by the taxpayers or the citizens.
And ratification is done by the select board.
Right.
Also elected by the citizens.
Correct. I don't disagree with that, but there's no other committee that's put together to vote on somebody else. It's just whatever this person does can be overstepped by another process. Oops.
Close to the question you asked before, or?
Not at all. I asked for clarification, and I just wanted to. And when I came to the information session, I believe that it was said that if the moderator doesn't appoint to the finance committee, that the finance committee can then self-appoint someone to that role. And if that's the case, then there would be no oversight at all if we removed the select board.
So,
It's just a point.
The reason that that's in there is it's in the state finance committee handbook. The committee appoints somebody, but it's only for the period of time, the months up until the appointments are made. So that could only be 3 or 4 months or whatever, just to fill out.
11 months.
Pardon?
It could be 11 months.
Well, so, it's not the whole, it's only that.
It's not a whole
That's how, I'm just going by what's in the state handbook for finance committees, what it says, so.
is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any others? All those who choose to vote on the amendment of what Tommy just asked for in the amendment, please signify by the green button. All those opposed are the red button, please. You know, people, you understood when I talked about 11 o'clock, I was being sarcastic, right? I mean, just to be clear. All those ballot who wish, declare the ballot box closed. Motion, amendment fails, 17 yeses, 23 nos. Is there any other discussion on the, Mr. Ross?
Mr. Moderator, I voted the way the vote went, and I'd like to have a motion to reconsider.
So you voted no.
Majority. I voted no. I voted with the majority. You guys, my click is number 327.
Go ahead, yeah, that's fine. I'm taking your word for it. So you're gonna wanna reconsider the amendment vote, so you want me to vote again?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Through Mr. Moderator?
yes,
Yeah,
First, you need
right.
to take a motion, you need to vote on whether to reconsider.
That's why I did second.
and that's just a majority.
Yes.
That's correct.
One more time for the deaf guys down here.
So I have to take a vote to see if we can reconsider.
Correct.
And once I do that, and then is there no discussion, just go right into the motion of,
There's no debate on a motion for reconsideration.
and is there any debate on, or we just go right into the vote again the second time?
If the motion to reconsider passes,
Yes.
then the prior motion is reopened, and if debate could proceed.
You can debate.
You can continue to debate if the motion for reconsideration passes.
So, Ben, you ready to vote? I'm sorry, you're pushing the new kid in the back. So you understand what we're gonna vote on right now? All we're doing is Darren has requested and a motion, we have to vote on whether we allow reconsideration on the amendment that just happened. So, all we're voting on is whether you wanna vote again on the same thing that we just voted on, just so it's clear. All those in favor of taking a vote again, please use the green button. All those that don't wanna take the vote again, use the red button, please. Thank you. All those voted who wish, declare the ballot box closed. So the reconsideration vote fails, 27 noes, 14 yeses. So the motion stands as it is, correct, Roger?
That's correct, Mr. Moderator.
And now we can proceed with more discussion on the original.
The main motion.
Yes. You've already talked once on this article. Oh, yeah.
So now that everybody's had a chance to contemplate this, I have the following motion to amend Chapter 3, Article 4, Capital Improvement Planning Committee with the following changes. Under Section F, subsection 1, any town official or department head may submit through the town administrator or designee, I'm adding that, or designee, a proposal to the committee for consideration as an extraordinary circumstance. That's a change from for consideration at any time if the need for such proposal reflects.
Can you just repeat which section?
Sure, so this
We
is
don't
Article
have
4.
I can't go that fast.
Yep, this is Article 4, Capital Improvement Planning Committee.
Yeah.
I'm under letter F, extraordinary circumstances. And the new reading would be any town.
Wait a second.
There is no letter.
There is no letter F.
Section 5.
Letter F.
Section 5.
There's no letter F at all.
Okay.
Okay, what, are you
Section
going
five.
off the?
I'm sorry, she's not talking about that document, she's talking about the bylaw
The actual
text
bylaw.
itself.
Once again,
we're gonna vote on something that we, the body sitting here, doesn't have available.
I don't disagree.
And
That doesn't make sense.
I'll stand up and I'll state everything, but I really have to take exception to that.
I don't disagree. I have my computer and a printer with me, and I agree with you.
Is there any way, Peter, that we can make things magically appear on that screen over there?
Yes.
That was completely Alex's idea, not mine. I can't get credit for that.
just a suggestion.
Could you get it there?
Make sure you're off the clock.
I'm not.
Am I technically?
Yes, Howard, just, Mr. Moderator, forgive me for speaking from the,
I think people would agree with you, I would think.
And I thought we were gonna be out here in half an hour.
Full screen, no?
Maybe if you want to. Interesting how that is, isn't it? Section. You guys don't have a budget.
Hopefully the amendment will fix some of it.
It still doesn't. Paragraph F.
Created more trouble. So, I was gonna get up and passionately.
Yeah, but we don't have.
You should see what my granddaughters do as well.
Yeah,
You'll get over it.
I don't understand.
Get over it. Does it look like it bothers you?
Yeah.
You'll find out in a minute.
I think the man that's on that picture, Scott,
Didn't I say that?
the man now was a husband.
I asked
I'm sorry.
DC on this crossed off copy, edited copy.
Surprised to get on the train and spread it. He's on his way out, huh? Although.
so we may have, this is fundamentally.
Like I said, I don't think if something comes up and I talk to you, next budget season, he and I will get together. And that's when I get some just this time I didn't know how the game was played. He wasn't hired when it started. Therein lies the encyclopedic research. I truly think I'm gonna let this year go by, but I had
Just been done with the self lunch and maybe I see nothing. I see nothing good content. If I'm gonna crank him up, you should jump on that.
This is the
Mine will.
All right. Did you suggest that? Nobody understood. They can see from back there. It's yours. You didn't say that, did you guys? Food truck.
Sheila, he just asked you a question.
Which sections? Article 4, right now we're on the section F, extraordinary circumstances. 5F.
This is how I know I understood that. I understand that, but there's a big difference between using it and
Nobody understands
Making some comment about my weight, buddy?
We're just gonna keep the lights off. There we go.
You're not leaving now, are you?
All right, so Shirley, do you want to come back up and do what you're doing? I'm trying to make it here, so it's a little bit easier so people can follow along. I appreciate Peter being able to do whatever he did magically to make it up here. Hey, is that 11 minutes now? Sorry, Sheila, good done.
I'll yield my time to Mrs. Flutter.
I move that we amend Chapter 3, Article 4, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Section 5, Duties, subsection F, Extraordinary Circumstances, number 1, to read, any town official or department head may submit through the town administrator or designee a proposal to the committee for consideration as an extraordinary circumstance, period. Change to number 2, the committee must call a meeting within 48 hours and must agree by majority vote that the circumstances are extraordinary. Under section 6 reports, letter A, the committee shall, at least annually, and with an annual fiscal deadline of March 1st of each year, prepare reports. No other changes. Under section 6 reports, letter B, the reports shall be submitted to the select board, town administrator, and finance committee for their consideration and shall be made available to the public. Thank you.
Let's get a second first, please.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Question?
The last one you mentioned, was that a change from the original bylaw?
Shall be made available to the public?
No, it's not us that makes it available to the public. We submit it to the town administrator, we submit it to the select board, and we submit it to the finance committee, and then if they approve it, they make it available to the town. So I don't know where you're going with this one.
If I may, I would argue that the other committees tend to share on their websites, most specifically, the majority of their work. This would be considered a work in progress. It would be considered a draft. The CIPC, I know, has its own webpage on the new website. And so I think being transparent with it, that was my reasoning for adding it. I understand that it's a document under consideration, but I don't know that that means it shouldn't be shared.
Well, the minutes in regards to how we vote and what we're doing before it's presented to the three governing bodies is in the minutes on the website, if you read them.
Well, at the moment I can't, so.
So that's what I'm saying, so maybe you're not aware that that's the way the process works.
I'm
So
aware
I don't
of
see a
minutes.
change, that they're responsible to make sure the town is aware of what.
I'm aware of minutes, however, there's nowhere on the CIPC page right now that indicates capital improvement plan. It's hard to find. So I'd like to think that this addition to our bylaws would allow for greater transparency and an easier way for a regular resident to find it.
Town can do what they want, unfortunately, there's plenty of transparency there, you may not see the transparency, but it's been there for 15 years in the way. And I'm not, so that's just the one issue. I mean, I don't understand all the issues. There's one there that I do agree with, and that is the emergency. She's going deep. I don't think you're aware that a boiler
Yes.
and within 2 days, I believe it was, we met with an emergency meeting to discuss the approval. So there was no need to put a
Point of order.
time frame in, because what happens,
We can't hear with everyone talking.
All right,
what, my question is,
wait a minute, Harry. We have people that are talking here that, so it's limiting them, so we gotta minimize our chitter chatter, please. Harry, do you want him to repeat?
No, we can just continue.
Continue, please.
my question is, putting a 48-hour deadline, I believe, is too soon. You have people that are out of town, people on vacation. What if we can't meet that 48-hour deadline? Does that mean that that does not get presented to the town officials then? So,
Actually, if I also may, 48 hours, if it happens on a Friday, that means they have to meet by Sunday, which is not legal.
If I may, my language is 48 hours to call,
what?
to call
To call what?
a meeting. Not to have it, to call it.
Except that it can't be posted if
Right.
the town hall is closed, the town clerk's office is closed, it can't get, so you can't call it.
I'll make a friendly amendment to myself, 48 business hours.
That's 6 days.
So we're talking about the amendment right now.
Exactly. 2 business days.
As far as open meeting law is concerned, it's my understanding that if it's an emergency situation, 48 hours is not applicable.
Is there any discussion on the amendment as it currently, motion was made, the amendment was made?
I just wanted to point out that,
Name, address.
sorry, Natalie Borzen, 15 Brunel Drive. If the amendment was passed, that would require a majority vote to vote on whether it was an emergency, to decide whether there would be a meeting about the emergency. So there would be no way to vote until that meeting happened.
No, she's right.
Roger, do you want to clarify that, or do you want Sheila to clarify?
I would ask the movement to clarify.
Movement, you can stay there as long as you're loud enough, please.
No, I apologize if that was misunderstood. So this is under F, extraordinary circumstances, number 2. The committee must call a meeting within 48 hours and must agree by majority vote that the circumstances are extraordinary, meaning at the meeting. Now, I did not change the original, which was the committee must agree. You would assume that that was at a meeting. So the original statement, the committee must agree by 2/3 vote that the circumstances are extraordinary, assumes they are at a meeting.
Is there any other discussion on this amendment?
Are you still keeping the 48 hours? Did you say 48 hours?
Strike the 48 hours.
I initially said 48 hours. To Ms. Haber's point, there's no restriction on calling meetings in an emergency situation.
And I can't, the committee can't post it. 48 hours isn't enough time for posting.
It's not required.
It's not required for an emergency meeting.
To post?
Right.
Correct.
You have to post as soon as you're made aware.
Right.
That's all.
I would argue that the Naquag boiler situation might have met those requirements.
And my point is, that's the way the committee works. If you want to change it, it's fine, but we've been working under that parameters without specific language. I'm sorry you haven't seen the committee or been involved in it to know how the committee works. So to propose these things without really understanding, you understand it's not personal, but I don't see where you're coming from on this. You're making a lot of changes to a committee that have been functioning for 15 years, very adequately, I might add. Both from the select board, the finance committee, and the town administrators have worked closely with the CIPC. And our current town administrator is working even more closely with the CIPC to make sure we develop with the town needs to have for information. So I don't understand, okay? Maybe it's just me.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Just to clarify, Sheila made a friendly amendment, so she just clarified her original, there, so that's just a change, right?
I offered it, but it wasn't, no, 48 hours.
So what you said before was not, okay.
Yeah.
Just to thank you, you clarified for me then. So Sheila's motion had been made and seconded as it stood in the beginning. Is there any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, Bet, are you ready? All those in favor of the amendment that Sheila read originally, please use your green button. All those opposed, please use your red button. All those voted wish, declare the ballot box closed. Motion is defeated, 23 noes, 17 yeses. Is there any other discussion on the article? Right now, just for clarification, there is no amendments to this current article. Both have been defeated.
Mr.
And just a moment, please. When Tommy was up there earlier speaking on that, when somebody from up here leaves and goes out to the mic, typically they are speaking as an individual, just to clarify. I assume when Mr. Seckman is up here speaking, he's speaking on behalf of CIP, the committee. He didn't state that, but assume that's what he was speaking of. So in turn, I would assume.
Karen Narwhal, 149 Palmagussit Road.
Lives at finance, I mean.
Mr. Moderator, I make the motion to amend Chapter 3, Article 3, Finance Committee, Section 3, Subparagraph A, Number 1. I'm going to read what it says. I would like to remove the stipulation that the Finance Committee member may not act as a town official as defined in Chapter 1, Article 1, in any capacity other than service on the committee. This new bylaw makes us an advisory committee. We no longer are in charge of the budget. We help, assist, but the town administrator has a budget. So therefore, we should be no different than, let's say, CIPC, where you can sit on multiple boards. Right now, we cannot, the seven of us cannot sit on any other board for impartiality reasons. And when we were developing the budget, I could understand that, but we no longer are developing the budget. So I would like that to be removed.
Does that receive its support?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on Karen's amendment? Peter, you can talk where you are. You control the computer, so. I should speak loud enough.
In the review sessions, it had been brought up that, actually, back up. The Finance Committee has always been an advisory committee, but power had been ceded to them for the budget for a number of years for lots of reasons, and I'm not saying that any of them are wrong. In the information sessions that we held, there were specific discussions about what happens if the town administrator is ceded. What happens if the town administrator doesn't balance the budget in spite of the bylaw? And the supposition that was put forth would be that the Finance Committee would be intimately involved at that point with the complete budgeting process. If the amendment goes through, as proposed, I see it as sort of trying to get it both ways of being involved in the budget process in some circumstances, but not having the restrictions that are there today, where the exclusivity of town function of the Finance Committee. If the committee is concerned that they can still be involved in the budget process, then I have to be worried about what the impartiality that the current condition gives. If that's no longer ever going to be a concern, and the finance committee will never be involved in the budget in the controlling fashion that they have been over a number of years, okay, but that's not what I'm hearing at the information session.
As of right now, Peter, it falls upon the select board to fill. What?
That was what we had agreed upon when we met.
That's true.
So the select board, who can sit on multiple boards, it falls to them.
Right, and practically speaking, what are they gonna do? Practically speaking, they're gonna delegate that responsibility to somebody, and if it's not the TA, I can't think of anybody other than the FinCom they would delegate to, as a practical matter. It seems to me.
I don't either.
Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Is there any other discussion on this amendment? We're voting on Karen's amendment she just recently made. Emily, you ready? All those in favor, please use your green buttons. All those opposed, please use your red buttons. All those voted who wish, I declare the ballot box closed. Motion is defeated, 24 noes, 14 yeses. That was the amendment. Is there any other discussion on this article?
Mr. Moderator, as a member of the Finance Committee, could town council weigh in on who we're governed by Mass General Law or by this bylaw? The Finance Committee specifically. And I'm speaking as a Finance Committee member because I'm confused now. Because we're governed by Mass General Law, not by these bylaws. So what, as far as I know, but where do we defer to? Mr. Solicitor.
Through you, Mr. Moderator. I don't totally understand the question, but the Finance Committee is governed by both Mass General Law and the town's bylaws.
But let me rephrase my question. There are definite differences between Mass General Law, Section 39, and the new bylaw. What are we governed by at that point?
If there are specific differences, it would depend on a case-by-case basis. But your town bylaw, to the extent it's not contradicting general laws, does control.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Certainly.
So if this current bylaw contradicts MGL, which one trumps the other?
The Attorney General would likely not approve a bylaw amendment that is contradictory to the general laws.
Thank you.
So all these bylaw amendments have to be submitted to the Attorney General after town meeting passes them. And the Attorney General's office reviews them all and would disallow, in all likelihood, an amendment that's contradictory to the general laws.
Is there any other discussion on the article? Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. We are voting on the original article. And I believe, if I am correct, we have no amendments that passed on this particular article. All of them failed. So, all those that are in favor of the article as it reads, with no changes, please use your green buttons. All those that are opposed, please use your red button. All those voted who wish. I declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries 24 yeses, 14 noes. Moving on to Article 3. To see if the town will vote as a part of a comprehensive review, renumbering and reorganizing of the general bylaws of the town of Rutland to amend the following sections: highways, scenic roads, permitting for entering the highway, bylaws to establish official names for streets, bylaws to establish a uniform system of numbering houses and other structures, stormwater management, water use restrictions, animal control bylaw, master key security boxes, right to farm bylaw, and the stretch energy code, all as set forth in more detail in the document on file with the town clerk entitled Ad hoc Bylaw Committee, Article 3, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 3 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this? Yes, Mr. Schuler. As a finance member, or?
No, wait, well, I have one question I wanna make one amendment.
As a finance member or as?
No, I'm gonna get as myself.
Not as finance.
Gotta find it. Under,
Is there any other discussion other than Tommy? He's trying to find himself, what he's gonna talk about.
Trying to find himself?
Any other discussion?
He didn't even.
It might take a while.
over there. I just had a question on the Article 1, Public Ways, right? It says interfering with snow removal and emergency services. And then under B, Superintendent of Public Works shall may remove or cause to remove any vehicle interfering with emergency or blocking or blah, blah. Did you not add fire chief under there because it's already covered in the state law somewhere, or?
The current bylaw as it stands is that the superintendent of public works has the authority to have the cars removed. That is the current bylaw, we didn't change that.
Okay, but I'm just saying in that case, I mean, if there was a fire emergency, it'd be kind of, by the time you call people and get them there, sometimes it may be too late to, and I understand, I'm sure the police have authority to do anything they want to, so, but. Just a question.
Yes, other laws do permit other offices in town to have cars removed.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
Oh, yes.
On this one I do. Can I just?
No.
All right, so the mistake I made last time, I didn't say, first of all, my name's Tom Rochelle, 25 Maple Avenue. Number two, my questions early, or my amendment earlier was from me, it wasn't the committee, and this next thing I wanna do is from me, it's not from the finance committee. So, I would like to amend chapter 4, article 5, under structure numbers, section 5, displaying numbers. Let's get a look at. By making the following changes. Change under B, displaying numbers, section 5B. Change numerals to numbers. This is just word changes. Change numerals to numbers, and then in the second part of the second sentence, change numerals to numbers. Then add, at the end of that sentence, numbers shall not be alphabetic words. Under C, change numerals to numbers. Under D, change numerals to numbers and numerals to numbers in two places. And under E is the same thing, change numeral to numbers.
Does this amendment receive support?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this amendment?
So just, only I would point out here, under this bylaw, there's a number of words in here and sentences that refer to numbers and numerals. And when we went to the information sessions, I questioned it then, and Peter pointed out to us, the ones that were there, that when you refer to numerals, and I had it checked by a high authority, definition in the dictionary. But anyways, the numerals could be written out. So if your house number was 142 145 or something, you can write it out on the clapboards. Well, I have personal experience, January 15th in a snowstorm, you're not gonna be able to read a written out number on somebody's house. When this bylaw was written in, well, it's probably in here, but somewhere in 1996 or whatever, I'm the one that put this wording in for those numbers to be on the houses, and we chose the 6-inch numbers and how they put on, the color they have to be, et cetera. And what I'm trying to do here is just make sure that people understand it has to be a number, it can't be written out, it's gotta be the number, the number that's there. That's the only things that here, these changes are. To make that wording change and be sure that it's very clear that they can't be alphabetic words.
There are locations in town that use the spelled out numbers, which is to say numerals, to express. What you are talking about is limiting someone's ability to express the number in a way that they find appropriate. Everywhere we say numerals, numerals are the expression of the number. The number is always digits. Yeah, sometimes with alphabetic suffixes, but what is, it is legal today to spell them out. So you're talking about removing that ability from someone.
Unless we put it in the bylaw, that's why we're making bylaws. So the idea is to have the numbers there. So have you ever been to an ambulance call at 2 o'clock in the morning in January 15th when it's a blizzard outside?
I admit, I
Well, I
certainly
have
have
been
not,
numerous
but-
times, but I'm just saying, the whole reason that bylaw was written back in, when it was done originally, we've had the house number bylaw's been here for a long time. And then the numerals actually on the houses was clarified in, like I just said, I don't remember, 95, 96, 94, I don't know, somewhere in there. So I'm concerned, not only, I have it on my house, so you can see the numbers on my house. I wanna make sure that other houses stay with the spirit of this, what this bylaw was intended to do way back then, and in an emergency, people can find the house. And it shouldn't be written out. You can't read a written out number when you're in a hurry.
Darren Ross, 5 Rufus Putnam. Fireman for a couple of years, 40. And I'm gonna just let everybody know in the room, you don't want me hesitating in the middle of the night when I'm coming for your child or someone like that, reading 151, whatever. You don't want me going down Route 68, East County Road, looking for a number that's this long when your house or you need help. And I'm gonna speak for the police chief's here will probably agree with this if he gives me a nod that he doesn't want me to. We want numbers. We don't need it written out in numerals. There hasn't been a whole lot of these changes done tonight. This is a public safety thing. We're not up here trying to change the world. All we wanna do is when you call us, whether it be the police, fire, any emergency services, we wanna get to your house as quickly as possible and render aid, that's all. And if you have the ability to write it out, and I'm going down the road looking for your number in a cruiser or a fire truck, it's gonna waste time, that you need your help. That's all.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
I just want to make a comment as town clerk, and I agree what you're saying in an emergency, but there is no enforcement of the current bylaw at all. So if it needs to be enforced, if that's the case, there are so many people either don't have them on their houses, they're not 6-inch, they're written out today, so if you pass it, it's gotta be enforced.
Yes.
If I may, more question for Peter, with regards to, I think it's under D, where it says the numerals cannot practically be made visible from the roadway. The majority of the time we see those written out numbers, they do typically tend to be on the house themselves or above the garage. would that qualify as a not able to see from the roadway, so therefore something like your mailbox or something else towards the street that would have an actual numeric value, would that be applicable?
I don't believe so. I believe that however and wherever it is posted, whether it's on the structure at the entrance near, on the street, that's all conformant with the current and the new bylaw.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
The original bylaw said on or near the front door, so that everybody had a reference to where you should look for the number. This bylaw got changed, it doesn't say that anymore, it says something about where you approach and most visible or whatever. But the old bylaw, when it was originally written, and it has been in place, said on or near the front door, so that anybody going there says, okay, I gotta look for the front door to find that number. And if you couldn't see the front door from the street, then that stayed in this bylaw. You have your number out on your mailbox or post that's at the end of the road or whatever, so it can be seen. So that part is still in there, but the other part got changed, and I figured if I made too many changes, then I'd really be in
Is there any
trouble.
other discussion on this article?
Mr. Moderator,
Amendment?
this bylaw doesn't, oh, Barbara Rushala. This bylaw doesn't prohibit somebody from putting their number next to their front door and then on their front porch writing out 152.
Right.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
Common sense of it.
Amendment? Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion? We're voting on an amendment. Tommy just read. All those in favor, use your green button. All those opposed, use your red button. All those voted who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries, 29 yeses, 11 noes. The amendment. Is there any other discussion on the article with the amendment?
I have a question.
You're over your 10 minutes, you can't.
I say, this is a different thing. Yes, I can.
Go ahead.
The question I had was, again, this is on numbers, and again, you talked about this at those information sessions, but I thought about it a bit afterwards. It says structure number shall be assigned in accordance with the following rules. From the point of beginning of the street, there shall be a number on each side for each 50 feet measured along the center line of the street. So, my question is, the streets that are existing and the buildings that are existing have all been numbered on the main road. So we're mostly gonna have subdivisions that are further out, and the street numbers would be assigned then to those houses every 50 feet. The current bylaws is every 100 feet. I knew in the past, because again, I was very involved with numbering houses for a number of years. And sometimes there weren't enough numbers, but most of the times there were plenty of numbers. So now, in a subdivision, every 50 feet, and our frontage requirements are 200 feet?
150.
150 on water and sewer.
With water and sewer and
Open space subdivision, flag lots are allowed 50 feet of frontage.
Well, flag lot, right, but that's the rest of a general, our subdivision rules are every 200 feet, right? For a lot.
Depends on the zoning district.
Yeah,
It varies.
R40, R60.
It varies. It can be 150, it can be 200.
Okay, so it could be 150 or 200. So if you do every 50 feet, are the houses gonna be numbered then, and I'm just using an example, the left side is the odds and evens, so you go 1, now you got a number for every 50 feet, so the next house down is gonna be number 7?
4 or 5.
Or 9? So somebody's gonna go there and say, oh, this house number 5, so the next one should be number 7, because your odds and evens always, and that's why, you know what I'm saying, it's just. It doesn't, what is the purpose of going to 50 feet from what it's always been?
Okay, the fundamental purpose was to deal with our zoning, because our zoning has the ability to have 50-foot frontage, and therefore, if you have 100-foot and that's how you allocate, you're going to have to do suffixes more frequently. This adds, them, or spaces them apart differently, but, is in conformance with our zoning law.
But those are flag lots you're talking about with 50-foot driveways, and how often do those happen?
Actually, quite a bit.
A lot.
Far too often in my mind.
Compared to all the other houses that are built in town? I don't think so.
The planning board just approved something in the last year with 13 of these lots within the same subdivision.
I've numbered a lot with As and Bs, and it's really confusing.
If that's what I'm just asking, it's, again, I'm worried about public safety and being able to get to a house without having the numbers not there.
So was that a question or was that an amendment?
No, I didn't, no, I just had a question about how.
Is there any other discussion on the article? Is there any other discussion on the article? Is there any other discussion on the article? All those in favor of the article with the amendment that was just voted, not the one he just spoke about, the one that he spoke about a little while ago, please vote, please use that green button for yes and for no, red button, please. All those voting who wish, declare the ballot box closed. 38 yeses, 3 nos, motion carries. Moving on to Article 4, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaw of the town of Rutland, Article 1, subsection 5, definitions. Article 3, subsection 8, resident district. Article 3, subsection 10A, village center, VC. District Articles 3, subsection 10B, town center. District Article 3, subsection 11A, light industrial office, and the Article 3, subsection 11B, light industrial, to change kennel regulations, all as set forth in more detail in the document on file with the town clerk entitled Planning Board Article 4, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 4 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of finance, please.
The Finance Committee recommends favorable action on this article.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? This will be a 2/3 vote. All.
Recommendation from the planning board.
I am sorry. I apologize for my behavior. Planning board, how do you recommend?
Mr. Moderator, the planning board recommends favorable action on Article 4.
Sorry, I didn't look down for that. Is there any other discussion? Yeah, loud. Let me see, it's okay if you want.
Can I do it loudly for my seat? So the thing about kennels in here and is this gonna allow kennels in residential areas? I see kennels.
So the fast answer is, they're already allowed in residential areas. What's changing, the current animal control bylaw, which I know we've just amended, but the current animal control bylaw says that personal kennels, a particular class of kennel, but only personal kennels, are allowed without special permit by the planning board. The current zoning bylaw, which takes precedence over general bylaws, says that all kennels require special permits from the ZBA. So we had a conflict. The purpose of this amendment is twofold. Number one, to make in residential zones, personal kennels a by right function. And secondly, to add more zoning districts where kennels can be allowed either by, well, in residentials, anywhere where residential things are allowed, it's still by right, but in a business or a light industrial, it's still by special permit. They're not currently allowed at all in light industrial, LIO, those districts forbid them. So this change allows them to be placed in those districts with a special permit.
I guess I'm confused between a personal kennel being like if I have my own dogs.
Yes.
Are you referring to kennels as like for people to use your property as a kennel for?
Yes, exactly. There are commercial kennels, there are veterinary kennels, there are 5 different classifications of kennels. So the personal dogs for your own use on your own property are personal kennels.
Correct.
If it's not your property, it's not a personal kennel.
Okay. So does it mean that you can't, does this bylaw still mean that like you can't put a for-profit kennel, like a regular kennel in a residential area, or you can?
This does not change that at all. So whatever is, I
Okay.
don't remember the details of when kennels are allowed and when they're not.
But it doesn't change any of it?
No, that's
Thank you, okay.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Remember, this is 2/3. All those in favor, please use the green button. All those opposed, red button, please. All those voted who wish. The ballot box closed. 33 yeses, 3 noes, 2/3, motion carries. Moving on to Article 5, to see if the town will vote to amend zoning bylaw of the town of Rutland, Article 13, subsection 95, development rate limitations bylaw exemption, to delete the item E in the entirety and renumber the remaining items according as set forth in details in the document on file with the town clerk entitled Planning Board Article 5, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 5 as printed on the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance, please.
Finance Committee recommends favorable action on this article.
Planning Board.
Mr. Moderator, the planning board recommends favorable action on Article 5.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article?
If you'd allow me, I'd like to share 2 minutes of information with you.
Would you allow me to share?
Anybody just share.
Well, I'm not just anybody.
Okay.
Good to know. I'd just like to let people know the importance of this zoning change. The way it got in there, nobody knows, but obviously it shouldn't be there. And if it doesn't come out, the limitations on the senior housing project would be huge. I just wanna take 1 minute. The net sale of the land and the real estate has generated to the town $1.6 million to date. In addition to that, the site improvements to the property based on that senior housing project is another net $950,000 in value to the town. In addition to that, permits and fees for the project are over $1 million. So the net revenue to the town, some people argue with my term revenue, but the income to the town is about $3.6 million, that when that project, if it's built out to 142 units, 44 units, will be $3.6 million. Those are all kind of one-time, non-reoccurring expenses. In addition to that, the future annual tax revenue increase will be in excess of $1 million a year to the town, with no impact on the town resources. No kids in schools, no maintaining streets, no plowing streets, police and fire, obviously. So it's critical that this passes. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? This will be a 2/3 vote as well. All those in favor, please signify by the green button. All those opposed, red button, please.
There's always 3.
All those voted who wish? Declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries, 35 yeses, 3 noes. It carries with 2/3. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaws of the town of Rutland, Article 9, Administration and Enforcement, and add a new subsection 64 entitled Associate Planning Board Member to allow the addition of an associate planning board member and establish a procedure for the appointment and to regulate other aspects of the position as set forth in more detail in the document on file with the town clerk entitled Planning Board Article 6 or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 6 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and second. Recommendation of finance, please.
Finance Board recommends favorable action on this article.
Planning Board recommendation, please.
Mr. Moderator, planning board recommends favorable action on Article 6.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? This is a 2/3 as well. All those prepared to vote, use your green button for yes. All those opposed would be the red button. All those voted who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries 36 yeses, 3 noes. Is there anything else to come before us at this time, Mr. Anderson?
I just think, as a member of the ad hoc bylaw committee, to put in those, 7 years' work, that I believe there really should be a very, very special recognition of the chairman, Peter Crane, along with the hundreds and hundreds of hours we did. I know for a fact he put in hundreds, maybe thousands more outside of the meeting, talking to the town council, researching general laws, trying to interpret the laws that we have now, and so forth. This would not have happened if it wasn't for Peter. He could be.
Is there any other comments or suggestions? Go ahead. If not, Darren Ross, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Moderator.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?